The love-hate relationship between outgoing Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump continues, with McConnell taking a swipe at Trump in a recent speech. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Aronberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, aka the Florida Lawman, here on the MeidasTouch Network. So we're aware of this schizophrenic relationship between Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell. Trump hates McConnell because McConnell occasionally will talk trash about Trump. McConnell clearly does not like Trump, especially because Trump has gone after McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, using anti-Chinese slurs against her. It wasn't pretty. But McConnell, being the loyal Republican that he is, remember the old adage, Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. McConnell, when Trump has really needed him, has had his back. I mean, during the second impeachment, when Trump could have been convicted in the Senate, where all it would have taken were a few more Republican votes in the Senate, and Trump would never have been able to run again. Well, McConnell said no. He said he's not going to vote for a conviction because Trump was already out of office by that point. This was after January 6th. But instead, the Department of Justice should take a look at it, that Trump could still be charged by the feds. Of course, then McConnell wasn't supportive of any of that later on, and so he continues to talk out both sides of his mouth when it comes to Trump. Well, here's another case in point. McConnell just took a clear swipe at Donald Trump during a major speech he just gave at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. It was clear who he's referring to, even though he didn't explicitly use the words Donald Trump. From Politico, speaking at the annual Reagan National Defense Forum at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, after which he received a standing ovation, the Kentucky Republican invoked the hawkish legacy of the 40th president, arguing that influential voices are forgetting the lessons of the Cold War amid growing threats from China and Russia. Within the party Ronald Reagan once led so capably, it is increasingly fashionable to suggest that the sort of global leadership he modeled is no longer America's place, McConnell said. But let's be absolutely clear. America will not be made great again by those who are content to manage our decline, McConnell said, paraphrasing Trump's longtime campaign slogan. Oof. There you go. I mean, of course, that was a direct shot at Donald Trump and Trump's isolationism, which at least tells us that when Trump decides to throw Ukraine to the wolves, that perhaps McConnell and the hawks in the Senate, the more traditional Republicans, will stand up. Or maybe they won't. Again, Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. We'll see what happens. But it is noticeable that McConnell took a shot against Trump in front of old school Republicans. In the Political article, it quotes McConnell as saying, "At both ends of our politics, a dangerous fiction is taking hold, that America's primacy and the fruits of our leadership are self-sustaining." McConnell said, even as allies across NATO and the Indo-Pacific renew their own commitments to hard power, to interoperability, and to collective defense, some now question America's own role at the center of these force-multiplying institutions and partnerships. So we shall see where McConnell will be when Trump tries to weaken NATO. Trump's already saying that NATO needs to pay up, and we'll see where the alliance goes. The allies can't rely on America when you have the president shit-talking NATO and acting more favorably towards Vladimir Putin. Well, we've gone down that road before. We know all about that. The Russia hoax was not a hoax. And even the Senate Intelligence Committee came out with a report that was a committee led by Marco Rubio that said there were connections between the Russians and the Trump campaign back in 2016. And now here we are with Trump close to taking power again. But when it comes to Mitch McConnell, it's not like he's a guy you can root for. He's also taking shots at judges, federal judges, who were appointed by Democrats, who decided to reverse their decision to retire because they announced their decision prior to Trump's election. And now that they see Trump taking over soon, they don't want to retire anymore. They don't want to go on senior status. They want to continue because they do not want their successor to be appointed by Donald Trump. And Mitch McConnell is angry about this, right? Because you don't want to politicize the judiciary. This seems political, right? Oh yeah, Mitch McConnell's a guy who has politicized the judiciary. I'm old enough to remember the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, where Mitch McConnell rushed through the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett in the final weeks of the Trump presidency. I thought there was supposed to be a rule that says you cannot replace a judge until after the election if the justice dies in the last year of a president's term. That was the rule that Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham created back in 2016 when Justice Antonin Scalia died. And when he passed away, then President Barack Obama wanted to appoint Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court. Remember that? And Merrick Garland was a compromise pick. He was seen as a moderate. He could easily get through the Senate. But now that he was coming back in the final year of Obama's presidency, McConnell and Lindsey Graham said, now we're going to create this new rule. It said that you have to let the voters decide in the election who they want to pick as their president to appoint the justice. This rule lasted just until the next time there was an opening in the last year of a president's term. And McConnell knew he was being a hypocrite. He had no problem with it.
The Supreme Court justice will decide next year.
We'd fill it.
But yet, he's now criticizing these two federal judges for being political by deciding they're not going to retire after all because of Trump's election. Wow. That's the pot calling the kettle black. Also, he's a guy throwing stones who lives in a glass house. A couple metaphors for you, Mighty. According to Fox News, the Senate GOP leader slammed decisions by two federal judges to reverse their announced retirements after Republican former President Trump won re-election in November. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell criticized the pair of partisan Democrat district judges after they announced plans to unretire after the American people voted to fire Democrats last month. Looking at history, only two judges have ever unretired after a presidential election, one Democrat in 2004 and one Republican in 2009. But now, in just a matter of weeks, Democrats have already met that all-time record. It's hard to conclude that this is anything other than open partisanship, McConnell said in remarks delivered on the Senate floor. Indeed, in mid-November, U.S. District Judge Algernon Marbley of Ohio informed President Biden of his intention to stay on the bench after Biden had failed to nominate a replacement for him. Marbley, who was appointed by President Clinton, said that because a successor had not yet been confirmed, I have therefore decided to remain on active status and carry out the full duties and obligations of the office. Meanwhile, U.S. District Judge Max Cogburn of North Carolina, who was appointed by President Obama, has also withdrawn plans to retire, Reuters reported. Both Marbley and Cogburn had announced plans to take senior status before the election, which would have allowed them to take reduced caseloads until the president appoints a successor. Here's a little clip of McConnell whining about it.
It's hard to conclude that this is anything other than open partisanship. They roll the dice that a Democrat could replace them, and now he won't. They're changing their plans to keep a Republican from doing it. It's a brazen admission, and the incoming administration would be wise to explore all available recusal options with these judges, because it's clear now that they have a political finger on the scale. This sort of partisan behavior undermines the integrity of the judiciary. It exposes bold Democrat blue where there should only be black robes.
You shouldn't be able to whine about it if you're the one who injected politics into the judiciary and actually is proud of it, believes this is his legacy. He has reshaped the court. Now we have a 6-3 conservative majority on the Supreme Court, a Supreme Court that's given unique powers to the president, like immunity that hadn't been there before. Chief Justice Roberts is now siding with the activists, the the extreme members of the court. I guess he doesn't like to be in the minority anymore after he was in the minority on the abortion decision, Roe versus Wade. Now he's taking the lead, I guess, under the legal principle of if you can't beat them, join them. So he's found his inner revolutionary, and now he and the others are out to redo constitutional law. That's Mitch McConnell's legacy. So now when he says, how dare these two judges unretire, that reeks of politics. That rings hollow to the rest of us. And now we'll see what the future holds for Senator McConnell, if he's going to stand up to Donald Trump occasionally, maybe, or is he just going to scream from the sidelines, get off my lawn, at Democratic judges and anyone else who comes his way. We'll keep following it here on the MeidasTouch Network. I'm Dave Aronberg, aka the Florida Lawman. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with a friend. Also, thank you for watching as I am on the road here in a kitchen. Could be worse. I'll be back in the regular studio next time. Also, check out our sister channel, True Crime MTN, where we talk about the hottest true crime cases, including Luigi Mangione. I do a lot of those videos myself, so check it out over there, True Crime MTN, and I'll also see you here next time.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.